Now this piece is pretty fantastic. What I'm showing you now is the lid. And I will probably put this one down, and I'll probably work from photos because this piece is a little delicate, and it is very old. Now this is a box that in Japan has been repurposed as an inkstone box. Now this is a common thing that was done in Japan with these sort of boxes. Not to say that some of them weren't in China also used as inkstone boxes, but this was the primary use of them in Japan. Now this box, I picked this box up from somebody who didn't really understand what they had and didn't really care to understand what they had. They just wanted to get rid of it. The box is actually very old. If you look at the scene on the top, which shows kind of a slightly agrarian scene, you know, inside the countryside, you know, somebody's very nice home, but probably in the countryside. And you see a scholar sitting at the table there. This scene matches very closely with some very, very early examples. Foliage on the side of the box and the manner in which that is rendered as well is very, very characteristic of some older pieces, along with the red inside. And I'll pop some of these up so that you can see a few examples. But it is a spectacular piece, and I'm just wowed every time I see it. It has to be early. It's just, I'm just going to leave it at that at this moment because I'll probably take some more time to research it further, but it is early, definitely very early. So now that I've had a few minutes to actually look at this box, I wanted to offer a bit of a postscript. And I haven't had the box for very long. It flew out of my hands quite quickly and is now in the possession of a customer who's going to get a chance to enjoy it every day in a way that I won't. But I did get a few extra moments after the video, and I actually think this box is probably a little later than I was initially thinking, and I would say it's probably 16th century. Now, let me tell you briefly why. There's a couple of clues that are pointing to a 16th century date. Well, the first is that around the 15th century and onward, a large quantity of these sort of items were exported to Japan. Now, Japan's been, you know, receiving Chinese lacquer for centuries, but it really ramped up in the 15th century. So a lot of them went to Japan during that period. So that's one clue. But another clue is if you look at the front, the scene that's depicted on there. So there's a couple of interesting things about this scene. One is, if you see the scholar at the top with the two apprentices studying below, he is in front of a table, and that table is probably a Ming style table. It has the look of Ming furniture. So that too would kind of point to a roughly 16th century dating. Another clue is the overall composition of this particular image. It is rendered in a way that it actually reminds me a lot of a Ming woodblock print. It looks like it was lifted from or inspired by a woodblock print. So that's a clue as well. And those woodblock prints, you know, started to ramp up in popularity and spread a bit further, give or take in that rough time span. So that also kind of puts you around the 16th century, give or take. And there's another element that also really makes me think probably 16th century, which is the content of what's depicted there. So Confucian values were quite strong around this time. And they were, again, depicted often in these sort of woodblock prints. And if you look at this, you can see a couple of interesting things going on. The very first is, so you have a laborer who has put down his burden of sticks. So you can see his yoke off to the side leaning against the wall, and he's put it down. He's relieved himself of his burden, and he is resting by the doorway, and he is reading. He is studying. The other thing that's interesting about it is the door is open, meaning this is a gateway. So the implication here is that anybody can take time out of their day and set down their burden to study. Even the common man, even the woodcutter here. And this is something that is depicted in Chinese stories. The other implication here is that the door is open, so study is a kind of gateway to a better life. And as you see, the young apprentices and the scholar inside are also studying. So the general vibe here, the message here is that Confucianism and enlightenment and betterment of yourself is available to everybody. So, yeah, after being able to reflect a little bit, yeah, I think I'm probably going to go with around 16th century for this box. And I was very careful to not give us, a definitive date in the former video. And I'm still quite careful to I could be wrong, but yeah, this feels about right, and this makes a lot more sense. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed that information, and I hope you eventually get a chance to enjoy a piece like this in your own hands. Okay, last one, since I've probably bored you guys to death. We're going to switch gears a little bit, actually, with this piece. So, this is an inro. And this is carved lacquer. And inros are kind of like your little traveling medicine chest, really. And this is Japanese, not Chinese. Even though, honestly, the aesthetic of it could be very Chinese. It's very China-inspired. The carved lacquer, the way it's carved, and you can see the wave diaper pattern here in the background. You'd be forgiven if you mistook it for Chinese, but it is actually Japanese. And what's nice about this one is, I don't know if this is upside down or not, but on the bottom is the artisan's name. And there is records about this particular artisan, and I believe he was active in the late Edo period. So we know that this piece is probably from the early 1800s, from when he was active. So you get a lot more signed pieces with Japanese pieces. Artisans are much more likely to sign things than they are with Chinese. It's not that it doesn't happen with Chinese pieces, it does. And I think the Chinese pieces that are signed are generally a lot more rare and more valuable for that reason. But it is one of the nice things about Japanese items. They tend to be, not always, but a lot of times they're signed, or at least the box will have some records. So yeah, so that's the last piece for today. I got a million more of these. I could do this forever because I love these pieces. They're just so cool. I mean, just amazing. It never gets boring. You never get tired. The only thing I get tired of is when they go out the door and then I have to say goodbye to them. But I'm always happy about that though too, because usually they're gone to a good home and somebody else is gonna really love them like I do. So yeah, if you like this kind of video, let me know. Leave a comment, or do a like or share it. That'll put it out there. That also tells me that you want me to do more of these sort of things. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, have fun. I hope you collect some great pieces, and I'll see you again soon.